In today's industry and in today's workplace, it is incredibly important to remain teachable. Having that student mindset has served me incredibly well over the course of my life. And today I want to go over some benefits of applying this student mindset into your life. It's very important in our industry because there is no quote unquote formal training and formal code to what it is we do in metal roofing. Having said that, let's start sharing my screen and we'll go over some of the benefits of remaining teachable. Let's first dive into the meaning of the student mindset, what that means and what that could look like for you or for someone who's on your staff, or maybe someone that you're looking for to grow your business and someone you want to have alongside you. The love to learn, their desire to expand their knowledge, always broaden their horizons, broaden my horizons especially. It's always a challenge to keep that specific mindset to always be open to learning as opposed to knowing it all, right? The saying goes, once you know it all, you're finished, right? So it's always good to have that love for learning. Growth-oriented attitude, right? Looking at every challenge as an opportunity for growth rather than a setback or a roadblock. It's not always easy to keep this mindset, but it's something to include in your daily activities, like especially in the social media realm where a lot of guys are posting their pictures. When I post a picture, sure, I want to maybe flaunt a little bit, but always being open to critique and feedback. I mean, a lot of guys want to cut you up and tear you down. Like, those aren't the guys. I'm not even paying attention to those guys, right? But if someone actually has, in what I determine, a valid point and a valid feedback that will help me grow as an architectural sheet metal worker, then let's talk about it. I also make sure that person who is interacting with me is doing it with respect and care in their heart. Sure, we can be a little rough and tough with one another. We're construction workers. It is what it is, and it's all in good fun. But as long as we have that kind of growth-oriented attitude, it'll be productive rather than counterproductive. Continuously improving, right? Always being open to feedback, kind of like I was saying in the last one, continuously seeking ways to improve my ability, as opposed to, I learned something and then that's it. That's the only way that it'll always be done. End of conversation, right? There's always a better way to do it, right? There's always someone out there who's better. It's a good mentality to keep. It's important to want to continuously improve oneself, one's ability. It's kind of a way of life, right? This whole student mindset. So next, let's get into having that student mindset. The importance of it, is skill development. Indeed says developing skills is important because it allows you to improve attributes and qualities vital to effective workplace performance. By developing these skills, you can also begin your path to personal development, which can help you maximize your potential and achieve your career goals in record time. Skill development shows an employer or potential client how dedicated you are to your craft at being the best. I think as we keep this the student mindset, it's very attractive to potential clients, potential employers, potential employee, potential staff. As a company culture kind of thing, if you're a business owner and you want to attract good people who are willing to learn, I think retaining a student mindset culture within the company is going to attract more of those people. So it's important all the way around, right? From the business owner, right down to the employer, to then also work with clients who are of similar mindset. An atmosphere of skill development is great for company culture. Like I was saying, leads to higher employee retention. If you are a business owner, or even if you are in a manager position within a company, within an architectural sheet metal company or roofing or whatever, it doesn't matter what workplace you're in, having the humility kind of it gets the ego out of the way. Somebody just want to beat their chest all the time when it comes to just the know-it-all, the guy who wants to just be the one who's right all the time. he's not an effective leader. Everyone loses respect for that person. So I think it's very, very important to remain as an effective leader, to show others that it is okay to admit that you're wrong and learn a new skill. If someone out there is doing it better, be open to it. It leads to a much more manageable path within your business, within as within your career, personal life, whatever. That atmosphere of skill development, right? If everyone is kind of on the same page when it comes to this, good attitudes attract more good attitude. Job satisfaction. So as skill development increases, as a new skill is developed, there's a certain level of satisfaction, within oneself, especially when you've learned something and it has transformed your skill level, it has transformed your level of quality to a new tier, right? There's a certain satisfaction in that. When you embarked on this new education, this new skill, when you finally adopted this new mindset, you're going to start to notice that your end results are going to improve, and your cognitive ability when it comes to the skill that we're talking about becomes more fluid, and you're kind of just doing it like second nature almost, right? There's a certain satisfaction that comes with that. You're going to look back over time and go, man, am I ever glad I remained that student mentality? Kind of like I speak from experience on this one, because there has been many times where I have not maintained a student mindset, and I have missed out on opportunities to learn, delayed the learning process, and extended my learning curve. When the opportunity had presented itself the first time, if I had the right mindset on, I could have exponentially increased my skill development and been a lot further ahead or whatever, right? So I know if I don't keep that, student mind cap on, the job starts to become dissatisfying, right? It becomes repetitive. It becomes, same old, especially when it comes to architectural sheet metal. That there are unlimited amounts of variables when it comes to, every roof's different, every situation's different. What do you do when you get to this point? What do you do when you get to that point? If you're not developing your skills, maybe those areas of concern, in those really specific kind of complicated areas of any metal roofing system, those start to become annoying, right? And you start to talk with other guys and say, well, man, was that job ever annoying, right? There was so much, it was so complicated. How annoying was that? Whereas instead, you keep that mindset on, you say by the end of that job that, yes, it was complicated, but by the end of that job, you can sit back and say, yeah, but I did that and I did it well. Another reason why this student mindset is so important is that we remain relevant, right? Remaining relevant in our industry, staying up to date. I brought up an article from LinkedIn here. Why it's important to adopt latest trends and technologies. Most of the largest businesses today keep up with the drastic changes in the world. If you're a business, let's say, you're a manufacturer and all you do is hand break the pieces, guy next door has adopted the latest technologies like an automatic CNC folder, and he's pumping stuff out 3 times, 4 times, 5 times faster than you, but you don't believe in that, and you don't have, you kind of say, wow, that technology, that's for the new, it's a fad, it'll come and it'll go. In this specific example, if you are up to date on the latest technologies, you would know that CNC folders are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. If anything, the direction of the industry is moving more towards automation. And I'll show you put a video up in the corner here. A lot of the guys will say, it's going to take jobs away from everybody and so on and so forth. But really what it's doing is it's repositioning the labor. Stay with me here. Is technology repositions the labor to where it needs to be focused on, right? So the hands-on critical thinking, problem solving that machines cannot do, that we cannot program machines to do, it forces the labor and the priority to there, because everything now that can be automated is automated, right? So if you can take a day or 2 days to show a guy around a brake and show him how to properly use a brake, because it does it all by itself now, well, that frees up my time. Just knowing, a couple days of training, he's good to go on that brake. Now I'm freed up to go and train the guys on site that need to be trained. Ensure job security, as well as career advancement opportunities. If you're the employee who is open to the latest and greatest, right, and is staying relevant and staying up to date, as an employee, it allows for your job to be more secure, but it also brings up career advancement opportunities, right? Because you have upgraded your skills of the most relevancy, you can use that app for measuring. You can use that software for creating invoices or whatever, right? As long as we're staying relevant, we have the best chance at being most efficient. As long as that thing you're learning to stay relevant is worthwhile. But you really only learn if that latest and greatest thing is worthwhile is if you learn it, right? Is if you adopt and keep that student mindset on, you'll fast track the learning curve to find out that it isn't worthwhile. You can't, I'm not one who can sit there and bash something without trying it, right? So, staying relevant means learning the new latest and greatest thing and seeing if it's worthwhile or not, right? That's part of the education, going down that path, finding out if it's worthwhile. Okay, if it is worthwhile, let's progress further and learn more about it, right? Because I do see value in this thing that I'm learning. So let's go further. Or this, I don't see this thing going much farther than what it is. It's a bit of a dead end. I think we're just going to make an educated decision here and stop doing what we're doing, right? And let's be open to something else, right? Increased earning potential. This not only goes for employees, but it also goes for businesses, right? If you're a business and you have adopted the latest and greatest technologies or processes, your earning potential as a company, your revenue retention as a company could possibly increase. You, again, don't know if you don't try. You have to be open to learning these new ways and new systems. If it moves the needle in your business, cha-ching, let's go. Let's move forward. If it doesn't, let's say you're an employee. Because there are new career advancement opportunities, there could be more earning potential there, more skills, more value to the market. That cash exchange is directly related to what value you're bringing to the market. Am I bringing a big pile of junk to the market of useless information or old, outdated information? Am I bringing that to the market? Or am I bringing that fresh, new process that everyone's been talking about, keeping you competitive? The idea of standing out in a crowd of metal workers. Let's say there's a crowd of guys, and the foreman at the top says, okay, who can do this, right? Who can do this? If you're the only one who can do it, that puts you at the head of the pack, right? There is no, at that point there is no competition. But let's just say you're one of three guys, right? That puts you above and ahead of the rest, right? Keeps you competitive. All right, last but not least, we got what I've coined the phrase, the pro problem solver, solution-based thinking, as opposed to the guy who just cannot stand to be on another complicated job. And oh my God, what a pain. The business owner who only takes big, straight roofs because they just haven't invested the time and energy into solving the problem that would allow them to expand their reach when it comes to installation of metal roofing. So the ability to remain open-minded and curious, resulting in more innovative solutions. So the problem solver will look at a situation with an open mind and a curious mind right? And that positions you a lot better, because if you do approach a situation with a closed mind and an old way of thinking, or or that same way of thinking that is continuously produced poor results, right? But you're not open to new ways, so you just continuously beat your head off the wall, wondering like, or you don't like, you're not curious. You're just like, oh, this in your head, you're like, oh, this is just hard, and this is just always the way it will be. So I'm just gonna hate on it forever, right? The pro problem solver is going to look at that situation and go, well, there can't just be one way to do this. Let's go and look. Okay, the biggest one I have trouble with is, I don't have an answer for this right now. Let me go and get one for you. Or, I know a lot of people in this industry, and I think as a group, we can figure this one out, right? And I think having that problem solver mentality is a hell of a lot more efficient, and a hell of a lot more productive and healthy. It definitely retains more people. You attract more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So like, if you're constantly just saying to yourself, oh, this is just hard, it's kind of how the industry and what's kind of trending inside of the industry is that, okay, I got to work outside. This is hard. This is not something I don't want hard, but it's not necessarily hard. It's just what you hear about it, right? If you actually try it, if you actually do it, and address each problem as it comes as an opportunity for growth, and solve that problem, it's not hard. It's just challenging. Like I've heard before, I don't know, I can't quote who said it, but nothing ever worth doing was easy. So I'm not saying, okay, you sitting on the couch is easy. Is that gonna produce any skill development whatsoever? Is that gonna produce any kind of income for you whatsoever? No. You have to get out there, and you have to do. Sometimes you got to do the challenging thing. All right, so next on the list, typically more open to criticism, right? From their peers. You see a lot in the Facebook group, you see a lot on site where guys are butting heads because one guy's calling them out, saying, that's garbage. You can't do that. Criticism comes in many forms. It could come as pretty harsh, it could come as soft, but in the end, ultimately, what matters most is the end result, is the final product, right? Does it function? Does it look good, right? Okay, if not, what do we do? So, someone in the group, I post a picture, someone starts cutting it up. My first reaction is, screw you, man. What do you know? You weren't there, right? But if you think about it, that guy in there, maybe his criticism is a little brash, maybe it's a little harsh, okay? But as a group, we're pretty rough and tumble as a group. It's not unreasonable to hear that coming from another roofer. Being this problem solver, having this student mindset, you get a bit of a thicker skin. You lose that kind of insecurity that, oh, this guy is gonna cut me up and I'm gonna look like an idiot in front of all these people. It's like, what you think people are going to think, you're wrong 98% of the time. Let's go one further. If those people are looking at that post and they're looking in there just to beat you down, they're not the people you're going to want to learn from anyway. Disregard, right? Disregard. If the approach they're taking to criticism is in a hurtful nature of some kind, there's a difference between razzing a guy and then just totally tearing him down. Those guys, I ignore them. There's guys in there who would say it's kind of a split between harsh and constructive. I still listen to them because, like, my response back would be, hey man, thanks for taking the time to educate me, right? Because if you think about it, the whole reason why those people are doing what they're doing is to protect the name of the industry, right? Or protect the teachings they've received from whoever taught them years ago, right? Because they are passionate enough to reach out online. Doesn't take as much online, it takes more in person, but online it takes they're passionate enough to sit there and type, regardless of what it is or how the message is delivered. The message is delivered to you that there might be something you need to look at within your installation. So don't be closed-minded, and stay open to criticism from your peers. And last but not least, more efficient with your time, because you were able to apply something you've learned from a similar problem. It's kind of like a circle. It's a circular effect. Stuff we've learned, stuff we were willing to learn from the past, right, is only going to propel us further faster, right? Keep that in mind. You want to be fast? Put that student cap on. You want to know what real speed is? Guys are looking at a lot of this stuff going, oh man, like some of the details that I do, a lot of the guys will look at that. First thing they'll say, oh man, that must have taken forever. Right. And I'll say to them, well, I used to think that too. But once you start doing it, you start learning it. You're not just learning how fast I can move my hands and my tools. You're learning the benefits of the things that you're doing, not just, oh man, this takes forever to do. You're thinking, okay, long term, I will never have to return to this skylight ever again for the life of this roof. Okay, that in and of itself, and I'm going to disregard. I'm not going to disregard all the other benefits to taking an extra hour to do a sweep seam coming off the corner of a skylight versus a Z closure, right? There's tons of benefits to it, but I'm gonna stay on the point of how efficient are you with the time that you're taking to do the install. And efficiency means, how effective is your install? How effective are you being with your time? So the time you're taking to do a skylight in Z closure, for example. Okay, it's quicker. But is it efficient? Right? Is it effective? Okay, so on a steeper slope roof, okay, maybe it's fine. Okay, maybe it's okay. Right? Because there's enough drainage on that roof to really take that water away, and you'll never really see it, and it'll never leak, it'll be fine. Okay, fair enough. But let's get you onto a 212 roof. Let's get you onto a very low slope roof where there is little to no drainage. It's definitely not fast enough to take the water off that roof at the rate you need it to for that Z closure to function properly. I'm going to say, what's more efficient? You coming back 5 years later and ripping it apart and doing it again because it leaked? The damages they're coming after you for because that skylight leaked, because of the mold, because of the reconstruction they're going to have to do inside their kitchen, bathroom, whatever it is. What's more efficient, right? That extra hour you took to do that double fold sweep coming off the corner, that will last forever, and you'll sleep 1,000 nights, no problem. You'll actually sleep better too. But I think, without getting too far off track, I think the point I'm trying to get at is, how effective are my skills, right? You have to look at, am I using the skills that kill? Not in terms of speed, but in terms of longevity, right? In terms of practicality and efficiency and effectiveness, functionality, and aesthetics are like, it's got to look good too. Like, we as architectural sheet metal workers, we do a lot. Not only do we make something work, we actually make it look good too, right? So the roof in and of itself, Not only does it have to look good, it has to function. One question to ask yourself today is, and in closing here, one question that you should maybe consider asking yourself is there room for me to skill up? Is there room for me to broaden my problem solving abilities? You know, is what I'm doing on the roof, or look at some of your interactions, right? The people who are trying to, you know, tell me something. Am I listening? Am I effectively listening and applying what it is, or at least trying what it is? Am I putting my personality, or am I putting my ego ahead of my ability? Right? Because we'll sacrifice looking good for actually doing good. So these are some of the questions that I, like me myself, I've had to ask myself a million times. I have been online heavily for the past 2.5 years with this whole ASM 101 thing. Trust me when I tell you, it it isn't easy. I can identify and say it isn't easy to receive criticism, especially online, because you're only sharing pictures and you only really, no one really knows exactly what it is you actually did there. But remember, by posting it online, you're opening yourself up for criticism, especially in the groups that we post in. You go to the ASM 101 Facebook group, it is full of pictures of people's work. I monitor it closely, making sure there's no bullying going on in there, and there's no like insanely foul language, or trying to maintain an atmosphere of learning and education and building up each other as opposed to tearing each other down. So I'm going to put a video in this corner. You should go and check that out right now. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video. Students.